Welcome to another edition of the Kendrick Loves to Brand podcast. We are here with Carlo Ople. Welcome, Carlo.
Hello, hello. Thanks, Kendrick. Thank you. And hello to everybody listening today. It's a joy and an honor to be on today's show. Nax.
Yeah, well, it's good to finally meet you, although it's virtual. We've been trying to set a podcast recording actually for a few weeks now. No? Before pa nung nangyari yung ECQ actually. But we're here.
At least natuloy, diba?
Correct. How's things with you during the
Okay naman.
quarantine?
I've just been at home focusing on working on a couple of side projects that have become really high potential. So
Nice.
parang I've been dabbling a lot into other sides of digital that I wasn't able to dabble on before. Kasi usually I'm on the content side, so content marketing, YouTube, all the advertising side of the business. So in the last few weeks, I've been working on affiliate sales. I've been working on creating my own products, e-commerce, even the stock market and crypto. So siguro because of all the time.
Correct. All the things that we've always wanted to do, no, but didn't have enough time to pursue. Ngayon, parang it's really the perfect time actually to pursue all these things. So
And it's also a necessity din siguro. Tsaka, kasi parang, well, for those who are listening, or content creators, YouTube ad revenues kasi are down. They're really, really down. So if you're a YouTube creator, if you'll just rely on that, di kawawa ka, di ba? So ako, since I had time, and since YouTube wasn't as profitable based on the effort that I was putting in before, I wanted to put my effort somewhere else that would give me better returns, di ba? So kaya ako nag-experiment. So that's the basic gist of the quarantine for me so far.
so before we get deeper into that, no, I like to take everyone back to the very beginning, like your origin story. So how did you get started, or what was your background before? What did you take up, like as far back as far back as college? Like what did you take up in college, and then how did you end up here?
Well, I come from a political family. So the original plan was to go into politics. So my grandfather was the late Senator Blas Ople. So we even had like politician training. That's down to me learning how to do ballroom dancing so that I could dance with the asawas of the congressmen. Ganong level. Ganong level. So when I was in high school, I would have weekly, siguro mga 2 to 3 times a week ballroom dancing classes.
Wow.
Just so when there would be parties with with the congressmen, ako yung parang, oh, isayaw mo si ganyan, isayaw mo
You
si
can
ganito.
turn up the charm on demand.
Yeah, that's my hidden skill. If you want tango, swing, rumba, lahat yan gets ko pa hanggang ngayon.
Nice.
So pag may mga talent show sa mga companies, akala nyo boom, di ba? So anyway, so I was actually planning on I always wanted to enter politics until I saw how ugly it was. So when I started joining the campaigns, lalo na on the local level, when I saw what it would entail, how much of your soul you have to give, lalo na when I started seeing how other politicians would play it, I just felt that it wasn't for me. So at that time, I had another passion, which was gaming. So I was playing. I'm not well to those who are in my same age. Before it was a big thing on your computer, Ragnarok. Now it's big on mobile, diba? Kasi may Ragnarok mobile. So it was in 2003, 2004, I think. So that I was in college back then. I got hooked on online games. And that was my first major lesson on a lot of things. It was my lesson on leadership. It was my lesson on PR. It was my leadership on digital marketing. It was my lesson on commerce and trading and profiting. Kasi a lot of people in Ragnarok, you get to pick a class. So people would either decide to be a swordsman or an archer or a wizard. I chose the crappiest class, but I thought was the most interesting, which was the merchant, and eventually would become the blacksmith. My thinking was I would get the class that could potentially make money. Di ba? Kasi merchant eh. So isip ko, siguro pwede ako kumita pag merchant ako, di ba? So to make a long story short, I put up a guild. I led, I think, around 500 people in the game. So I experimented with different leadership structures. I got to understand the very basics of managing people, from understanding chemistry with your leaders, understanding qualities of people that you would want to work with as leaders, I understood how it was to make a profit, buying low, selling high, which I would eventually apply to something else. I'll get to that in a bit. Pero doon ko natutunan yung core skill na yon, buying low, selling high, and negotiating hard. And again, this was all virtual money, no? And then eventually, I learned a lot of things. Kasi parang marami din negative moments pag natatalo ka, di ba? Kasi in a way, it's a sport. Kasi it's competitive online gaming. And my guild would be up against another guild, and then talagang sobrang involved ako at sobrang emotions are there. So a lot of the skills that I picked up there, even the PR side, kasi there was a forum back then. I would like create stories and write about how our guild was doing every week from a PvP perspective, so player versus player, a guild versus guild perspective. So parang press release, diba? Every week. Because those were the lessons that I took early on in my career, and even when I was hustling when I was still in school. So for example, the buy low, sell high. I started selling, well, it's not an honorable job, but I would go to Divisoria and buy the Class A Louis Vuittons. And then I would sell it to the asawa of the congressman. sabihin nila, is it fake? Sabihin ko, no ma'am, it's authentic. It's semi-authentic or it's Class A. Yung mga ganyan, di ba? So yun yung basic concept of buy low, sell high, which eventually I turned into buy low, sell high cars, buy low, sell high, whatever it is, magic cards, to now, ano ba binabuy low, sell high ko? Sneakers, diba? Art. So it was a core skill that I had back then. And then on the PR side and the digital marketing side, that would fuel my career. Kasi after college, my first job actually, let's take a step back. So after college, I still didn't know what I wanted to do kasi I was still hooked into the gaming part. So ayoko munang matigil maging gamer. So I just needed the job to pay the bills. So the job that I got, and not a lot of people know this, but I openly say it naman, I was a call center agent. So I was a call center agent for people support. It was in Makati. And I had so much fun kasi it was my first time then also to get exposed to so many different types of people. Kasi I studied in Ateneo. So if you're in Ateneo, it's like a bubble.
Yeah, okay.
Diba? You're with Ateneans, diba? Most of the time. So being in a call center exposed me to so many different types of people from different backgrounds, from different walks of life. And it was just so much fun. I enjoyed it immensely, the people side of it. I didn't enjoy the calls. The calls were dragging AF. But interacting with the different kinds of people and learning their motivations, learning how they do things, just observing them, why they were there, was such a fun thing for me. And then eventually I got a call. Parang there was a gaming company that was starting up. They wanted to hire me as like a community manager because they saw I was very active in the Ragnarok space. So imagine mo yun, yung pagka-addict ko sa gaming became a stepping stone for my career. So I joined, I think, ano ang pangalan nun? Net Games, which was the gaming company of Ep38. And then eventually, the funny part was they would eventually buy out Level Up, which was the company that ran Ragnarok. And then I would end up eventually being the brand manager or head for Ragnarok Online.
Oh, nice.
But from a corporate level. and this is very important. But if I learned a lot of my core like soft skills from gaming, I learned almost 90% of my digital marketing skills in Level Up. And this was in 2006, 2006-2007. Because in 2006-2007, a lot of the things that people are raving about now, ginagawa na namin back then. So for example, community management. And now that's called Facebook social media management, diba? Yeah. Back then we were already doing that, but on the forums.
Forums, yeah.
So we had a Ragnarok forum, alam mo yun, online forum. We would manage the complaints. We would manage the people. We would constantly pump out content, be it video, visuals, or text on a daily basis. And we would have a content calendar. Diba? So that's not something that you saw, well, a lot of industries did back then.
Yep.
And then apart from that, it was also my first exposure to digital advertising because it was an online gaming company. The more logical thing to do was to place ads online versus placing on, for example, magazines or newspapers. So first movers kami in placing ads on Friendster, Yahoo, MSN, Yahoo Messenger, a lot of the first generation ad platforms I was able to experiment with and try different types of advertising. And maybe one of the more core skill sets, or two more skill sets is, the other one is, diba, ngayon using influencer marketing.
Yeah.
Pinauso na namin yan ng 2006, pero back then, ang influencers, yung mga guild leaders. So we would identify who the guild leaders are across all the different games, and then I would wine and dine them so they would move to our games. Yun yung style back then. So it's pretty much the same thing now, diba? But instead of guild leaders, you're going after, I don't know, like celebrities or Instagram models or Instagram stars or content creators. But it's a very, very same premise. And lastly, it's the abundance of data. Kasi in 2000, our data back then was already real time. We would see how many users were logged in the game, how many times they would play, average time that they would play in the game. When we shifted to e-commerce, we were one of the very first companies to shift to e-commerce because we started to change the model from subscription, which means that you had to pay to play, to free to play. Access was free, but you could buy items.
Yep.
So we were already toying around with sales. We were playing around with bundles, mystery boxes. So a lot of the things that you're seeing now, we were doing in 2006 to 2009. So fundamental skill sets ko and the technical skill set of digital came from there. Tapos yun, from there, it was a roller coaster ride in digital marketing. I joined Friendster. Eventually ended up being the new media head for TV5. After TV5, I wanted something more entrepreneurial. I put up a digital agency together with some partners. We sold the agency to the biggest single-branded agency in Asia, which was Dentsu. So I sold it after 5 years of running it. In the agency, I learned so much also. So the clients that we handled, the biggest ones were Jollibee, Unilever, Resorts World was a client, Samsung was a client, Google, Viber were clients of ours. So that was such a major learning experience as well. And then up until today, where I'm in the telco space. So yun naman, more or less, yun naman. All throughout that, marami akong mga side hustles. So yung mga vlogs, mga blog, tapos eventually the YouTube channel. So parang I always make it a point to try to monetize kasi what I enjoy. So when I fell in love with technology, I put up a tech blog, which is unbox.ph, which is now like a big tech site. And then when I fell in love with sneakers and toys and art, I put up my YouTube channel just so I can monetize it. Tapos eventually now, medyo nagsasawa na ako sa shoes. I don't know na nga what's the next thing that I like. So I'll figure it out. But more or less in a nutshell, that's like my story.
So coming from all your experience, when you're in the telco space now, do you think it's an advantage having all of these other passions that you're pursuing on the side compared to like somebody who's just focused on their day job?
Well, I definitely yes, because a lot of the learnings that I bring to my profession today, 90% are from the stuff that I do outside. So for example, how do you evaluate good creative? How do you evaluate a good video? If I wasn't a YouTuber, if I wasn't a content creator, then I wouldn't know that the first 5 seconds were critical. I wouldn't know that there shouldn't be a dull moment every 10 seconds because your average view time would drop. Diba? I wouldn't know what's the best way to be able to put up a Facebook video to get the most amount of clicks, the most amount of shares, the most amount of likes. So my experience, my insights are not based from books. My insights are based from me actually doing stuff. And it's a big advantage. But because if somebody in the boardroom tells me that won't work, I'll tell them to their face, I've done it before and it works. And I have the numbers. What have you done? Diba? So it's a big thing to actually have a wealth of experience from outside that you get to bring in your day job. Also makes you look kind of kick-ass also. Diba? Parang mga one-liner na ganun na parang, ginawa ko na yan eh.
Diba? In your experience, did you ever feel like coming from when you started, your jumping point was your passion in gaming, and then you were able to parlay that and sort of everything just sort of fell into place, diba? Did you ever consider or did you ever question whether you had the right skills for the job, or did you ever say like, or did you ever question whether the skills that you were developing, learning through your passions were transferable to quote unquote, the real corporate world.
Real world.
Yeah.
Well, I had the choice kasi marketing naman, you had several disciplines of marketing, diba? You can go the typical brand marketing like discipline and track. And that was originally what I was thinking when I was in Level Up. Oh, I want to work in Unilever. I want to work in P&G. I want to work in like a multinational company and have budget and stuff like that. Or Nestle, diba? But then I realized that digital was the future. So this was in 2006. No, I really had this big feeling that this would blow up, that this would become such a massive thing. And at that point in time, I consciously took the bet to go digital. I ignored all the opportunities to take the traditional route of marketing. And I invested in myself. So I took classes, I took certifications, I took up whatever online class. I learned as many like facets and elements of digital as I could to be a well-balanced digital marketer. So I don't think a lot of people can say that today, no? So for example, if I were to rate card myself on digital, or at least take an inventory of my skill sets in digital, I can do SEO, I can do SEM, I can do content marketing. I know how to write SEO-wise. I know how to place ads on Google or Facebook. I'm certified for both. I can understand Google Analytics. I love Google Analytics, so measuring websites. I understand the fundamentals of e-commerce, social media marketing. So parang it's a lot of the things that I've learned through the years because I spent a lot of time talaga learning and analyzing and trying to become that. And it was a very conscious decision because I wanted to make a bet for myself, for my career, so that I would be different. Kasi parang I remember entering one interview for a multinational. And I just felt so out of place. Parang people, naka-polo sila, naka-necktie, naka-slacks. Tapos parang, it's not me. So parang, even now nga sa telco world, tawag sila board meeting. So lahat sila naka full suit with necktie, ganyan. Well, ngayon, hindi na masyado nag-necktie lahat ng tao. But usually the full shebang, no? And I would enter in my Carhartt shirt na walang collar or a WWE shirt like this with my jeans. So just have probably a blazer on or a jacket. Most of the time, it's a jacket. It's a denim jacket. And I'd be wearing sneakers. so I'm also very thankful to my bosses. So MVP, maraming salamat for letting me wear what I wear and not kicking me out. So yun.
Did you ever get any pushback from your family? You mentioned earlier, obviously, your family background. Did you ever get a pushback from your family, like all throughout, especially maybe when you were starting out, like in your career?
Well, with family naman, it's always a lot of good, sometimes bad, a lot of arguments. Ultimately, you realize that you have to live an independent life. And the best way that you live an independent life is by moving out. So my perspective was their house, their rules. If I don't live in their house, if I'm living on my own, if I'm not asking for money, if I'm not asking for anything at all, even mana or whatever, then it's my life, my rules. So when I realized that there was a divergence, for example, in where I wanted to go and where they felt I wanted to go, then I moved out. Simple as that.
Okay, now in your career, I'm sure you don't have to make this choice, but if you were forced somehow to make a decision between your corporate career and what you're doing on your own with your passion, what would you choose and why?
If I were talaga really forced, and if because I really believe that you can do both, eh. And I have been doing both for the last 2 decades. And I've been enjoying the benefits of doing both immensely. Because ultimately, it boils down to building teams. Eh. So parang, for example, it looks like I'm doing a lot of things on my own. But the reality is, I built teams in the companies that I was in so that I wouldn't have to take on, alam mo yun, how do I explain this? Ganito na lang. If you hire bad people, you'll end up doing their job. That's the reality. Yun yung natutunan ko sa Ragnarok. If I get bad guild leaders, I will have to lead their guilds. Diba? Parang I'm supposed to be like the grand guild leader. So all of you are supposed to get your people in line. So if they do things the wrong way, I have to take over their job, which makes me not do my actual job. You understand? So
Yes.
that basic premise in leadership, I've applied that through the years. So every time I hire fast, but I fire faster.
Mm.
So, and that rule cuts across being in corporate or being in all the businesses that I do on the side. So that kind of thinking allows me to do a lot of things, be it at work, because I try to build really strong teams so that I still have my evenings to do whatever it is that I need to do. So pagdating sa evenings, di ba, pwede ko na gawin lahat ng gusto kong gawin. Tapos pagdating sa evenings na yon, since I built multiple teams, hindi na ako actually doing the hard work across all of the rackets and businesses that I do. It's me just checking in on the individual teams that I built
Mm-hmm.
through the years. And those are handpicked, selected people that I have chemistry with, that I trust, and that I work really well with. Some of the people that have been working with me have been with me for 8 years.
Wow.
So talagang when it clicks, I take care of you. Parang beat your salary, your benefits, whatever it is, as long as we can work well really together, fight tayo, parang ganon. Now, having said that, if I were to pick between a job and following my passions, then I would obviously go for following my passions. The job is there because one, it parang I look at it as ano eh, more than just a salary. Parang I one of my biggest complaints when I was younger was the internet in the Philippines. Eh. Parang it was so slow, it was so expensive. And one of the things that my grandfather taught me is that if you want to change something, you can't just scream at it. The best and fastest way to change something is you enter the system and you change it from the inside. Now, I'm not saying that I have single-handedly fixed. In fact, we still have a long way to go
Mm-hmm.
to fix our services. But being able to have influence and being in the meetings that can probably mean better customer service or faster internet, for me, means is a big thing. Kasi it allows for me to contribute to something that I feel super strongly about. So yun yung reason why I'm still there. Plus, of course, the salary and the benefits and all that cool stuff. Diba? So yun.
You mentioned building teams, so for your vlog and the things that you're doing with your passion, how big is your team on that side?
Well, I run several like mini businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I have Unbox.ph. It's a very small team, around 5 people. I have 2 writers, 1 video guy, 1 tech guy, 1 salesperson. But that team has been with me for almost 8 years. That set of people. Yung writer lang yung isang bago. One of the younger writers that we got on board of the team. So that's one of the teams that I have. I have another team that's currently and that we're expanding, which is like a YouTuber talent management agency. So we basically manage and handle YouTubers. I have a stake in there personally because I want them to succeed. So I teach them revenue, I teach them monetization, I teach them branding, positioning, all of those cool stuff. No, so whatever I can impart to them, I impart as much as I can. At the same time, we get a commission from all the sales that we can get for them. So it's a nice business. So yung salesperson ko actually from the Unbox, I promoted to be like the managing director of that company. Kasi we
Mm.
already work really well. And I just hired like one person to help support her. So that's another company that I'm working on. And then I recently put up a new venture that's focused on like an apparel line. So it's yung Project 7 to 1, which is like
Yeah.
gear for people who hustle. So I hired one young person, si Sean, who's like the creative director of the company. Kasi I feel na mas in tune siya sa what young people would want to wear.
Mm.
Ako kasi, if you ask me, I wear so, my clothes are so simple. Parang I would always end up wearing a WWE shirt,
Shit.
like jeans and nice sneakers. If it's not a WWE shirt, it's a Carhartt shirt. It's like those blank pocket t-shirts na one color lang, and then
Yeah.
jeans, and then nice shoes. That's like the Carlo look forever. So I felt na parang hindi yata ako yung best creative director for an apparel line. So yun, he's really young. He has a lot of potential. And I work well with him. Yun yung pinaka-importante. He soaks up like like knowledge, like a sponge. So ang bilis matuto. So yun yung gusto ko sa kanya. So I feel now we can work well together, especially in the coming years ahead. And then what else? I'm currently hiring because I recently put up like 2 new sites. This is Hype, which is a website that's dedicated to streetwear sneakers in the local art toy scene. So I already hired a new writer and actually 2 new writers. And then yung Project 721, I want to turn it into a website na, apart from the apparel, a website that equips people who want to hustle. Pero all for free. So parang ang business model ko, all the content that you would normally pay for is free.
Free.
But I'll sell you shirts.
Or hopefully the content gives so much value that people would want to buy, diba? To support.
Yeah, kasi I see so many classes right now that charge so much. So parang ako, why are you charging so much? Then I realized, kasi yun yung monetization model nila.
Yeah.
Eh parang ako naman, I don't want, parang ako kasi I want to say, I want to give that for free. I want to give the knowledge for free. Kasi I feel that, for example bro, di ba, ayan, di ba, ano ngayon, ECQ, quarantine, lockdown. I'm doing relatively okay. Kasi apart from having the salary na naka-work from home kami, I have multiple income streams all based on digital. Be it cryptocurrency, the stock market, be it affiliate marketing, affiliate sales, or advertising on YouTube, advertising on Google, drop shipping, e-commerce, it's set up. So parang ako, in my head, then you see so many people having such a hard time. Parang you would want to share that as much as you can, di ba?
Right.
To help out. So parang ako, it's just, ako personally, I feel na medyo bad taste to charge for it. So parang ako, I would rather, sa inyo na lahat. Ayan, gawin nyo lahat. Parang gano'n. Tapos, bili lang kayo t-shirt. So parang yun yung monetization model for Project 721.
So for Project 721, like it's a very interesting brand name. Why that brand name? You know, for those who are not familiar, why that brand name, and what's the inspiration for it?
Thinking, well, I gave a TEDx talk, I think around 3 years ago. And the topic they gave me was parang more along the lines of how to pursue your dreams. So parang ako, ang sinabi ko lang, we all have day jobs, and not everybody is blessed to have a job that will be the same as your passion or your dream. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. So the concept is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You build your career, you pay your bills, you get the money to live a decent life. And then 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., that's where you build your dream. So that's where you work on your blog, your YouTube channel, the app that you want to develop, a side business that you eventually want to become a big business. So Cash Project 721.
Nice. I like that. Actually, that used to be my schedule also for working on what will eventually turn out to be Antidote, like my branding company. Because I used to work in advertising, although actually hindi 7 kasi to be fair, laging OT sa advertising so it's more of mga 10 to 1. In your this is either for your career or your passion. What's been the toughest adversity you've had to deal with over this past few years?
Myself. Yun talaga, myself. Parang all my hang-ups in life, all my issues in life, all the weaknesses that I naturally inherently have, but fortunately I'm very much aware of. And you just have to manage, diba? The best thing that you can do, I think the best investment that anybody can make is to discover yourself on a deeper and more strategic level. So the moment that you find out what you're really strong at, the moment that you find out what you're really weak at, and then you try to, play to your strengths. I read the book kasi 2007, I think. So one of my former bosses in Level Up, his name is Apple Jonglai, naging ninong ko na rin siya sa kasal. Sabi niya, tinanong ko siya, boss, gusto kong mag-promote na mabilis. Talaga gano'n, imagine mo yun, sinasabi ko sa boss. Kasi sabi ko, gusto kita palitan. Ganun ka-ambitious no? Sabi niya sa akin, Carlo, kung ganun gusto mo yan, kailangan mo magbasa ng maraming libro. Sige boss, ano kailangan kong basahin? Parang, alam mo yun. So nagbigay siya sa akin na list. That's one of the books that he asked me to read was Strengths Finder. So it's a book that you take, then there's like a digital test and it tells you what you're strong at, tells you what you're weak at. And the basic premise is double down on your strengths. Parang why would you play to your weaknesses? Diba? So, tapos may dalawang schools of thought. You have the school of thought of parang a growth mentality na you try to elevate your weaknesses slowly so that you become more well-rounded, or you try all in on your strengths. So, pinag-isipan ko yung dalawang yun. So, na-realize ko, I'm a very impatient person. Doon tayo sa strengths. Diba? So, doon ako nag-focus on. So, ako, if there's one, if you discover kasi where you're strong at, it is natural that you discover where you are weak at.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know where you are weak at, you can create ways to be able to manage the weakness by either creating systems or processes that will remind you to do certain things a certain way, or by hiring people that can complement you so that your weaknesses aren't as obvious. So, yun, it's a balancing act of that.
What would you say is your biggest strength then, coming from that discovering yourself?
The book says meron akong 5 key strengths eh. So it's activator, maximizer, ideation, competitive, tsaka significant. So those are my top 5 strengths. So ano ang ibig sabihin na activator tsaka maximizer? I'm the type of person na pag may naisip ako, gagawin ko agad. So hindi ako yung type na I will plan everything. It has to be perfect. It has to be a confluence of the stars, the environment, then I'll do it. I'm the type of guy who's very happy with good enough, not perfect. I'm the type of guy who's very happy na parang, uy, nandyan na, let's go. Versus all this, alam mo yun, everything has to be there before you launch something. So, ang maganda doon, I can set up things very fast. Ang weakness ko, attention to detail and sustaining things. So that's why through the years, I've learned how to build teams. I've learned how to get people who are very detail-oriented, people who are very project manager level, and people who don't get offended and sawa sa pangungulit sa akin. So for example, I'll give you one example. My executive assistant has been with me since 2008. So si Leng. So she was my executive assistant in Level Up. And she has been my executive assistant across all the companies. Everywhere I would go, bibit-biting ko yan. TV5, sama ka sa akin. Sa ahensya, sumama ka sa akin. Sa negosyo ko, sumama ka sa akin. Pati sa kasal ko, siya nag-ayos ng mga papeles. Tapos ngayon, sa telco, pinackage deal ko kami. Nung nagde-negotiations, ayaw nila ako payagan magdala ng EA kasi marami na daw EA. It took me, talaga, I spelled it out. If you do not let me bring her with me, I will not join you. Ganong level. So sabi ko, kasama kami. Package deal. Walang Leng, papalpak ako. So kailangan na dun siya. Kasi si Leng takes care of a lot of the things that I usually forget about. Diba? So yun. So parang ganon. So yun yung sa strengths, yun yung sa activator maximizer. Yung sa competitive, I need a challenge. So if it's not challenging, if wala akong kaaway, I get bored. So for example, so YouTube, bigyan natin ng example. And I'll relate it to something that I'm currently working on now. So YouTube, I get a lot of bashers, haters, and people who comment. I look at it 2 ways. One, higher engagement means better virality because the algorithm will promote it more. So pag may nagbabash doon, aawayin ko siya. Kasi if somebody says a good thing, the only thing you can say is thank you, which means 2 comments lang. Yung good thing na sinabi niya, tsaka yung thank you mo. But if somebody says a bad thing, tas awayin mo siya, maraming comments. So it means higher engagement. The algorithm will see it as an engaging video and it will get more views. So that's the first thing that I look at. Number 2, I take a look at the things that they say. Normally, people would get really offended and get sad about insults and whatnot. Ako, I take it as a challenge. So for example, which I will relate to what I'm working on right now. The one thing that people, for example, always keep on saying on the comment section is that I'm kind of fat, I'm kind of big, ganyan. So parang ako, in my head, normally, some people would get like, siguro parang emotional about it. Baka this is not for me, blah, 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 blah. So parang ako naman in my head. So kung magpapayat ako, ano pa pwede mo sabihin? Wala na? Parang ganon, di ba? Parang so, that's the only thing you can say? Yun lang kaya mong iba to sa aking insult? That's it? O sige, I'll take it away. If I take that away, what else can you say? Or have I absolutely crushed you already? Parang ganon. So yung competitive drive is very strong. So I enjoy stuff like that. So parang hindi ako yung type na parang kuwawa naman ako. Parang kuwawain mo ko o fight. Parang enjoy ako. Parang ganon. Tapos yung last 2, significance tsaka ideation. So ideation, I'm always forward thinking. I research a lot. So I have a pipeline of projects that I want to do. So at any time if you ask me if there's anything I want to do, I always have something to say. And then on the significance, I always try to look for things that are big, that can make an impact. Hindi lang yung parang, alam mo yun, like a blip. So yun. So yun yung top 5 strengths and the usual weaknesses that go with them.
Nice. How do you deal with, you mentioned like dealing with bashers, but like have you had a significant failure in your career, and how did you deal with that?
Madami. I've effed up so many times. From mishandling budget to putting money in the wrong place to handling a brand that didn't fly, from making wrong bets. Uh, that's just on the corporate side, and even on the box, missed opportunities, bad relationships with certain people, and it's par for the course if you're leading and if you're building things. What's important is that you try to become better and you realize that it's a process and that through the years you just have to be cognizant of those mistakes. You don't have to repeat them again.
Mm,
Parang parang there's no point in sulking eh. There's no point in letting it get to you because the only time failure becomes bad is if there's no lesson, if there's no
mm,
correction. If there's correction, it then the failure becomes an upgrade. So then by all means, it's welcome and it's good.
okay.
That
Do,
sounds so wise, no?
do you know? You seem like a very confident guy, but do you ever experience self doubt?
Oh, a lot, a lot, a lot.
In what
I just
way?
don't show it. I don't show it much. And it's primarily because I guess I'm built this way. And I'm most vulnerable to the people that I'm closest to. So, for example, like I'm saying this in my talks, I wouldn't be where I am today without my wife. Kasi amidst the strength, the posturing, and the confidence, all the doubt, the sadness, the frustrations, those are things that I share with her.
Mm,
Kasi it is a vulnerable relationship that I have with her. I'm vulnerable to her. And I'm vulnerable to a very select few. And that those are the relationships that I treasure the most. Kasi in a world where you constantly, alam mo yun, either project or that you are go-getter type or that you are building things or that you're trying to trailblaze or you're trying to lead, parang you look for those safe places and those havens that allow for you to come out of that shell and be talaga who you are. And it is in those moments na you become level-headed, na you go back to the world, and that you become a better person. So ako, those are the relationships na talaga that I treasure the most. So obviously, my wife is number one. So lahat ng mga frustrations, mga kinabubusitan ko, and that's something that I learned through the years. Kasi when we've been together for ano na eh. So we've been married for 10 years, but prior to that, we were boyfriend, girlfriend for 10 years. So we've been together for 20 years. And in that 20-year relationship, siguro I only became really vulnerable with her, I don't know, in the last 6 years.
oh, okay.
It took a while eh. It took a long, kasi di ba men in general, pag may problema, isipin lang niya, or baka, just, parang ano yan, escapism ang lalaki, di ba?
Sure.
Pero because yung wife ko is the type that processes. Yung wife ko is the type that wants to go through things and resolve it through talking. Nahawa ako in a way, but only with her. And then I realized na parang it's such a good thing pala for your soul to do that. Di ba? So yun.
Nice. That's a very deep it's a very deep answer to share. I really appreciate hearing that. And it's actually very, it's very practical advice because like even what you said about sometimes as men parang we tend to just keep it to ourselves, 'di ba? Yung
Mm-mm.
frustration.
That's the default. Lalo na for men.
Correct. So it's good to at least hear it from somebody else. No, na it's something that you have to learn to do also. Um, who do you look up to in your field? You mentioned earlier like being competitive. No, is there a particular let's say a vlogger or influencer that you look up to and you want to catch up to?
It changed na eh. Through the years, there have been many pegs or many people that I look up to that I chase after. So for example, for vlogging, there was when I was in the sneaker YouTube game, all the sneaker YouTubers that came before me that had higher following. So there were sneaker YouTubers that at 150,000 subscribers, 200,000 subscribers. Some of the big ones were at 500, 600. So I'm at 600, almost 650,000 now. Eh. So the next one is somebody who's at 1 million. So pero alam mo yun, priorities, yun nga yung problema ko eh. Once parang I get excited about other things, parang sige, okay na yan. So there was a time na gano'n, it was constantly looking at other content creators and other YouTubers. But now, especially given the current situation, the crisis with COVID-19, parang ako I'm taking a look more at parang people who have so much to the point where they can give so much and bless so much.
Yep.
So the competition or the looking up to has changed dramatically from a career perspective or from a craft perspective to parang how can I be like that? Parang how can I have a lot so that when times like this happen, I can give a lot. Kasi parang it just eats away at you to know that there's so many people suffering and there's only so much you can do, diba? So, for example, I'll give you a story. So, diba, I work kasi for the PLDT Smart Group. So, my boss is si MVP, si Manny Pangilinan. Si MVP just announced yesterday that he wrote to all the CEOs of the MVP group telling them to pay their taxes in advance because the government needs it to fund their project. So parang ako talaga, wow, diba? For you to be able to flex that muscle, imagine that, to tell multiple CEOs across massive companies such as Meralco, Maynila, PLDT, Smart, the Tollway Group, ano pa ba, all the hospitals that he has. I think he has like 4 of the top 7 hospitals in Metro Manila, plus in addition to the total 16 that he has. Paymaya, which is our payments company. As in talagang, and he just issued the letter to all of them, telling them, magbayad na kayo. Oh, yung ganung level, and the way that he organizes relief efforts, and the way he takes care of his people, I envy that. Grabe talaga. Parang kunyari ako, when I take a look at my businesses, the only thing I can do is to keep on paying them their salaries. But si MVP, may pa-vitamins, may benefits, may advance bonus, may advance 13-month. Kasi talaga, wow, you really feel taken care of. And parang ako, that's what I look up to now. It's the ability to become a better leader, a more responsible leader, and not just somebody who looks very inward na parang, I want to be the best YouTuber in the world. Parang gano'n, di ba? So it's and maybe that's the benefit of being part of corporate. You get to see a bigger picture. You don't just see yourself. You get to see how the titans of the industry move. And they move on a completely different level. And it inspires you to someday want to become that. Parang before, my dream was to have travel the world, make millions, and not work anymore. Parang ganon. So ang dream ko ngayon is parang, okay, so how can I employ 20,000 people and take care of 20,000 families? Parang ganon. Di ba? So parang ang powerful and the effect that you would have. Anyway, those are just things that are in my brain.
Okay. Apart from MVP and the people that you work with, if you had a chance to have a one-on-one mentoring session with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Probably Bill Gates. Hands down, Bill Gates.
What kind of questions would you ask him?
And I would ask him more about yung younger part of his career. Parang how did he know that it was time to do what he did in Microsoft? How did he know that it was how he would pick people, diba? Like sila Steve Ballmer or sila Satya Nadella, or for example how he was able to transition to what he's doing now, and the effect that he has kasi now with the pandemic, diba? With the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Parang I just look up to people who are able to transition kasi to a thing bigger than themselves. So ako I would ask a lot of those things. Parang how he did it, how he was able to manage his finances, etc. etc.
Do you take stock of yung mga conspiracy theories about Bill Gates?
I read some, but parang natatawa na lang ako eh. Diba? Par for the course. When you're out there trying to change the world, obviously people will try to bring you down.
Correct. What's your greatest fear You mentioned like your motivation now or your next goals now, but like what about your like greatest fear when it comes to, I guess, what the work that you do?
It's not more the work eh. Parang ako my greatest fear would probably be has something to do with the things that anchor me the most. So for example, if there was anything to happen to my wife, if there was anything that happened to my family, if there's anything that out of my control, that happened to the very dearest friends that I have. It's more those things. Parang I've always felt na if it's corporate or business or money, parang I don't know. I just feel that those are things that are very solvable.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's money, you just have to be responsible. Parang if you need to make more money, that's simple. Get a job. Diba? So parang it's and I'm willing to. Kumbaga, there's no job too little.
Mm.
Once you accept that kasi, then there's that confidence about you na you can always make money.
Yeah.
So for example, if I lose my job today and I still have a job, then I'll just apply in a call center. And there's nothing wrong with it because any job is honorable by in itself. And if it's not a call center, because of my time in advertising, I know that I can apply to any advertiser or to some of my friends who work in advertising and probably get a job. Kahit maging AE lang ako, I'll be the most senior AE. Di ba? Parang ganon. So parang once you have that mentality kasi, money isn't as,
Mm-hmm.
alam mo yun, like critical or your career path isn't as parang super important. Do you understand? Kasi
Yeah.
if you're, and siguro it's the benefit then of being responsible with my money for the last 20 years. So having like a financial net, security net right now, gives me that confidence. So it also makes me realize kung ano ba talaga importante sa akin, which is obviously my family.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out and who's asking you advice? Let's say how can they get better at anything basically?
Get better at anything. Well, everybody has 24 hours in a day. The magic time is what you do with your evenings. Yung 7 to 1 na sinasabi ko kanina. Kasi most of the time, everybody will spend their 8 to 5 working. Eh. You don't necessarily learn something new, diba, from your 8 to 5. Because those are, kumbaga you learn something new initially. Siguro for the first year that you're working. But eventually kasi they transform you into a cog in the wheel. Diba? That's the intent of business. A lot of people are there to keep the wheels turning so that the company keeps moving a certain way. So you're just there to do a specific type of job, which means the learning isn't as deep, isn't as new. So the evening is critical because that's where you open yourself up to more opportunities by learning new things. So if you stop yourself from learning new things in the evening, di patay na. Wala nang mangyari sa'yo, di ba? So if you alam mo yun, want to double down on a particular field, then spend some time in the evenings learning. Lalo na if you're young, if you're not married, if you don't have a family yet, then you can literally do 7 to 5 a.m. Diba? Parang, kasi wala ka naman ano eh, pamilya eh. Kung may pamilya ka na, yung 7 to 1 mo magiging siguro 10 to 11.
Yeah.
May anak ka na, magiging ano na lang yan, 11 to 11:15.
Yeah.
Ganun. So while
Exactly.
you're young, while you're single, while you have time, all the time in the world, then you should take advantage of it. That's your biggest advantage today. Your time in your youth. You know.
All right. Well, we're heading towards the latter part of the show now. There's three
Sure.
questions that I always ask to for all my guests, and it all pertains to legacy. So the very first question is, knowing everything that you know now, right, in 2020, if you had a chance to go back in time, to, let's say, from when you first started working, okay, and then you only had like a minute to talk to Carlo from back then, what would you say to yourself?
Oh, invest in the stock market. Yun lang. That's it.
Um,
Invest in the stock market.
what,
That's it.
what,
That's the one big lesson. Parang if it was me in my 20s, ay nako. Parang if I could turn back time, I would get 50% of whatever I earned and I would always put it in the stock market. That's it. And I would be golden right now.
That's very practical advice. Okay, second thing, you mentioned earlier having like a pipeline of things that you still want to do or ideas that you want to pursue down the line, diba? What else are you looking to accomplish over the next 10 years?
I want to put up a massive that I want not massive. I want to put up the number one online content company in the Philippines. So that's a dream. I don't know when I'll start working on it. Pero parang in my head, parang, hey, di ba kasi you have Summit right now
Yeah.
who does multiple verticals. So parang ako, sino kalaban ni Summit?
Mm-hmm.
Wala. Di ba? So parang, hey, I can do that. Parang I can put up multiple websites. I can hire people. I have the monetization background. Oh, I think I can do that. I can do that well. So parang yung mga ganun thoughts sometimes run through my head. But then again, you get grounded by the things that you need to do. So that's one of the things that I want to put up. I really want to, parang I have a dream of putting up like the leading content company in the Philippines. So that's one. And then number two, well, I'm working on a couple of more traditional projects like writing a couple of books on side hustling and digital monetization, specifically catered for the Philippines. Because it's very different. Eh. A lot of the books that you read today are not applicable to the
Correct.
Philippines because of either the current situation that we have, the opportunities, the credit card penetration. So it's very different. But I want to create something specifically for the Filipino on how you can leverage the internet to make money now. Diba? So that's a project that I'm working on. And lastly, siguro, ano pa ba? Dami. Gusto ko magpapayat. That's a project. So nagpapayat kami ngayon. As in literally, dude, I bago nag-lockdown, kasi I knew that, I heard that there would be a lockdown eh. Sabi ko, shucks, paano ako mag-workout? So, alam ko magsasara mga gym. Tapos yung gym dito sa condo namin, walang kwenta. So, I literally rented a unit downstairs and I put up my own gym.
Oh.
Ganong level. As in talagang nag-set up ako ng mats, I bought a treadmill, I bought the weights, I bought the whole thing. Tapos I turned like one of the 3-bedroom units here in the condo where I live into a personal gym. Ganong level. yun yung sinasabi sa competitive level, na ibang level.
So how often are you using that gym during this quarantine?
Every day right now. Tapos nag-enjoy ako eh, kasi dati, pag nagpapapayat ako, it was more parang, so grueling. So parang alam mo, wala kang gana.
Yeah.
Eh ngayon kasi, dahil it's my house, one, wala akong pake. Parang sa gym kasi dati, you're kind of conscious, di ba? Parang, what are the other people thinking, ganyan. Nag-isip ko pa kung ano yung susuot mo. Ngayon, wala talaga ako pakialam eh, di ba? Parang kinari kung nag-treadmill ka, tapos magandang sound, sumayaw, sumayaw ka, di ba? Parang gano'n. Tapos at the same time, some of the stuff that I wanted to do, kasi I'm a fan of WWE, di ba? So nag-sign up ako sa TDP Yoga. Yung mga gano'n, yung mga fun stuff. So I'm really enjoying the fitness part more than I am. Parang it reached a point I don't even care about how much weight I lose. To the point I don't even check. Parang it's just that I love doing it every day.
Yeah, you're enjoying
parang,
the process.
Ano kaya ang class gagawin ko kay DDP Yoga? Parang gano'n. Or ano kaya pwede kong gawin sa treadmill? Or, kanyari, nag-challenge ako, parang yung plank na yan. Alam mo kasi I'm out of shape. So, dati, pag nag-plank ako, masaya na ako sa 10 seconds. Ganun kasama, dude. 10 seconds na plank. Excited na ako doon. So, happy ako kasi kahapon. So, ginawa ko ulit siya. Actually, backtrack tayo. So, nagpa-plank ako. Tapos siguro mga 2 weeks ago, nakita ko, umabot na ako ng mga 1 minute and 30 seconds. Massive achievement for me, Tapos may napanood akong video that I was doing the plank wrong. So, naasar ako doon. Kasi ang ginagawa ko, yung ganon, tapos my neck would be a bit down. Tapos when I saw myself in the mirror, may tendency pala ako na yung lower back ko tsaka butt ko is a bit elevated. So, mali yung form. So, may napanood ako YouTube video, what is the right form? Which is apparently, dapat parallel pala yung arms mo, yung neck mo medyo mataas para the neck muscles are so that pala medyo mababa para talagang So, ginawa ko ulit. Balik na naman ako sa hanggang 30 seconds lang. So, parang ba ito nakakabwisit? Pero di ba, maganda siguro dahil the competitive nature. So, parang, kaya natin to. So, haliw ako dun. So, anyway, yun. I think I'm oversharing.
Nice. Before I ask the final question, obviously everyone already knows where to follow you. So I just want to acknowledge you for being a positive influence with the things that you're doing, the content that you're putting out. It's educational and entertaining at the same time. I think that's been a big key to the success that you're having as a content creator. So I just want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
Um,
I appreciate it.
so the final question is, Carlo Ople, how do you want to be remembered?
Alam mo, I thought about that so many times. Kasi parang yan yung ano eh, yan yung slum book question that I don't know what to put and what to answer. So ilang beses na akong tinanong ng ganyan eh, lalo sa mga intro ng mga ano. Tapos before, I would give the answer na parang like a great businessman or like a politician. There was even a time when I was enamored with politics, like the greatest president the Philippines has ever known. Now, if you ask me, I just wanted to say na parang a man who loved his wife so much. Kahit yun lang. That one line for me. Okay na ako doon.
Nice. I like it. On that note, thank you so much, Carlo. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate everything that you're doing, and we're looking forward to all the ideas and all the plans that you have in your pipeline. Pa.
Thank you. Appreciate it, bro. And let me just also say na keep doing what you're doing. It's fascinating. I see some of the books that you have at the back. Yan, yung mga yan. Napasa ko na yung mga yan that you have over there. Si Gary Vaynerchuk ba yun?
Yeah, jab, right hook.
Yan. So tuloy-tuloy lang, bro. Tuloy-tuloy lang. Parang I read up din on you and on your company. So just keep doing big things and try growing big as much as you can. Kasi ako, if there's one thing that I learned and hopefully I get to pass this to you. Sometimes kasi when you're building things for yourself or when you're building a company, parang your world becomes a little bit smaller. Eh. Mm-hmm. Kasi you're constantly taking a look at the bottom line. Di ba startup, mga ganyan-ganyan or whatever. Pero I always believe that God has a bigger plan for everybody. And He has a plan for you that's always bigger than what you can ever imagine, what you can ever dream of. So parang always ask God for what that is and always seek that out. And always ask Him to bless you in a much bigger way. Kasi gagawin niya yun. So parang kung ano man yung meron ko ngayon, I'm sure in a couple of years, you'll be blown away with how much God has planned for you. Nax, naging pastor ako bigla.
I love that. I appreciate
Pastor
that.
Carlo. Amen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review the show on iTunes. It will help more people discover the show. You can also share a screen cap of the show on your social media accounts. Make sure to tag me and let me know which part of the episode you like or didn't like. All feedback is certainly welcome, so feel free to reach out to me on Instagram @KendrickCo to let me know what topics you'd like to be covered next and who you want to hear or learn from in future episodes. Until next time, do the work you want to see done, because life's too short to not be creating your life's work.